Okay, the reason why we didn't say Tachnun is tomorrow is Yud Kislev, which was the day the Alter Rebbe's son, the Mittel Rebbe, got out of prison. And therefore, Chabad, it's a Yom Tov that we don't say Tachnun. So we don't say already to Mincha. Okay, back to Kiddush Levana. So the last thing we're learning is why women don't do Kiddush Levana, the reason for Kiddush Levana, and so on. Now, the best time to do the blessing over the moon, Kiddush Levana, is at the beginning of the month. But you have to wait until the moon is giving light. Now we know there's what's called, what we call out Shabbos Mevarchim, there's what's called the Molad HaLevana. Molad HaLevana means the birth of the moon. Obviously the moon is always there, but in relation when it starts getting the light of the sun. So the Molad is not necessarily on Rosh Chodesh. It could be a day before Rosh Chodesh, it could be on Rosh Chodesh. So the birth of the moon is the day when the moon starts shining a little bit. But after 3 days, therefore according to halacha, you should not do Kiddush Levana before 3 days after the Moled, after the birth of the moon. According to Kabbalah, and that's the way we do, that you wait until 7 days, because then it's a half a moon. In other words, like this, the moon starts off on the Moled. By the 7th day, it's a half a moon. By the 15th day, 14th, 15th day, it's a full moon. And then it starts getting smaller. So after 15 days from the Moled, you can't do any more Kiddush Levana after 14 days from the Moled. So therefore, so according to, halachically you have to wait at least 3 days. Kabbalistically, you wait until 7 days. Now there are opinions that say, and this is the way people would do it, that if you live, let's say in the winter, in certain cities where, like Russia, where it's just winter the whole time, there's no moon, there's no nothing, so then they wouldn't wait for the 7th day of the Moled. They would do it as soon as after 3 days, they would already do Kiddush Levana. They don't see the moon. It's very possible in the winter months in Russia, it's very snowy, cloudy. I mean, in many countries they have a difficult. California, Baruch Hashem, we don't have the difficulty during the winter. But
after 3 days.
You can't do it before 3 days.
What about areas in far north in the summertime where the moon doesn't come out for months?
So then you have an issue. Then you don't do this. No, then you have the same issue with davening when you daven Shachris Mincha Ma'ariv. Okay, another thing is, you cannot do Kiddush Levana during the day. That means sometimes if you notice during the day, you can see the moon. But then the moon is not shedding light on earth because you have the sunlight. So you can't do Kiddush Levana before night, when the light of the moon is noticeable on the ground. Now, also, you can't do it after 20, so basically after half of the month from the Moled, so you can't do Kiddush Levana like we said. Now you're supposed to do, because Kiddush Levana is once a month, so it says in halacha you're supposed to do it with nice clothing on.
Is the half of the month is always after 15th?
No, it could be sometimes on the 14th.
Depending on the moment.
Right. Because, you know what it is? It's half of 29 days, 12 hours, 793 halakim from the Moled. That's what it's basically 14 days. But you have to do it by the time of the Moled.
So it's 14 and a half days, 14 and 12 hours.
Right. Now it's interesting, when you hear, look in the calendars when it says when the Moled is, the birth of the moon that we call Shabbos Mevarchim, the truth of the matter is that is the time in Israel. In Israel, that's when the Moled comes. When it says this is the last time to do Kiddush Levana, that's Israeli time. So technically, I mean, people are makel for a lot of reasons. But let's say the last night would be Saturday night, 2 o'clock in the morning. So here in America, it's 10 hours, in LA, it's 10 hours earlier. So really, that Saturday night, people do it anyway, but you wouldn't be able to technically do Kiddush Levana because it's after the time in Israel. Now, one of the reasons we do Saturday night, the minhag is to try to do it Saturday night. So there's a few reasons given. Number one, because everybody's dressed anyway for Shabbos, so you're wearing nice clothing. Secondly, Saturday night, it says more people are in shul than there are during the week. Thirdly, it's brought down in Sfarim from the Reb Chaim Vital, in Kabon, that Arizal, that the Bais Hamikdash was destroyed Saturday night. So because the Bais Hamikdash was destroyed Saturday night, and in Kiddush Levana we say about Mashiach, she also does Chadish Kamaisa, so we will speak about the era of Mashiach. So because the Bais Hamikdash was destroyed Saturday night, we do Kiddush Levana also Saturday night. That's what's broke down from Rabbi Chaim Vital. Okay, now there's and it says if you do Kiddush Levana Saturday night, you're going to have a lot of Hatzlacha. But again, don't wait. If it's going to be delayed, you don't do it. Okay. Now, there's a lot of stories with, the Kiddush Levana. He brings down here, it's a famous story, that one year, Tavshin Yud Beis, it's 1952, whatever it was, or 51 at the end, the Rebbe came out, it was Tes Kislev, Tavshin Yud Beis. The Rebbe, after Ma'ariv, came out and to Kiddush Levana, there was no Levana in New York that night. So the Rebbe said the following. There was once a story by the Rebbe Rashab, 2 Rebbes before him, that there was also no Levana. It was very cloudy. In Russia, there was no Levana. So the Rebbe Rashab said, he came out and he said like this. By Rebbe Meir Primishlaner, was a great disciple of the Maggid, there was one such a story. There was no moon. It was very cloudy. So the mayor asked the question. He came out to the people and he asked the question. How did the Jews do Kiddush Levana in the desert? Because the Medrash says the clouds of glory that accompanied the Jews were on the bottom, on top, and on all 4 sides. Okay, they covered them completely. Okay, in fact, they had the topping was the air conditioning protecting them from the sun, all that stuff. So the question is, if there was a covering of the clouds, how did they do Kiddush Levana in the desert? So he says, what happened? When Moshe Rabbeinu, when the Jews had to do Kiddush Levana, when Moshe Rabbeinu took out a handkerchief and he went like this, and the clouds of glory split, and the Jews did Kiddush Levana. When they were done, it went back. That's what he told the story. So then, what happened was, so the Meir Primishlaner went like this with his hand that night, and it cleared. So the Rebbe Rashab did it with a tichel, with like a handkerchief, and also it became clear, the moon. So the Rebbe said, this is 1951, so the Rebbe said, if there's anybody that can do that trick, please let him do it. So somebody said, the Rebbe could do it. One of the Chassidim said the Rebbe could do it. So the Rebbe said, I'm just here to tell you the story. I'm not here to do it. I'm here to tell you the story. And then the Rebbe said, I'm coming back soon. He went to make Havdalah for his mother. He came back, and the Levana came out clear. It was a clear, beautiful night. So that was the story they tell. Now, we said the best time to do Kiddush Levana is Saturday night. Now, it's brought down in halacha, you should not do Kiddush Levana on a Friday night. Friday night or the night of Yom Tov. It has to do with, there's a lot of reasons. Tchumim, if you can come more than 2,000 amis, if there's only down here, upstairs, whatever, that's a complicated issue. And then they say also, you can't do it Friday night, because then you might carry your siddur out in the street. And also, they didn't have light, right? So they would have to bring a candle. So if it's Shabbos, they might forget, they'll bring a candle like Rosh Hashanah, Shabbos, you don't blow, they might forget and carry the shofar. So they said, that's why you don't do it. And according to Kabbalah, for sure, you don't do it Friday night. But if it's the last night, there was no Levana, or somebody didn't do Kiddush Levana until Friday night, and Friday night's the last night, then they're allowed to do Kiddush Levana, even though it's Friday night. But ideally, they should try to work it out, not to do Kiddush Levana on Friday night. Okay. Now, certain months, you do. By the way, as you notice, we don't do good enough. But because the Gemara says that let's say at the beginning, when you doing Kiddush Levana, it's like you're receiving the Shechina. So therefore, it should be done with music and lively and singing and dancing because you're getting the Shechina, the divine presence is coming. Okay, next is like this. You don't do Kiddush Levana before Matzoi Tisha B'Av. You don't do Kiddush because then you're in mourning. You don't want to. It's supposed to be Simcha, and also you don't do it before Yom Kippur because Yom Kippur is also because we're serious about getting forgiveness, so we don't have the ultimate Simcha. Okay, so the bottom line is that Kiddush Levana ideally should be done every month. Now, what happens if a person, Nebuch, is sick in bed and he can't go outside another thing. You shouldn't do Kiddush Levana under a roof or in a building. So let's say you could see the Levana, you're supposed to go outside. You don't do it under a roof. Or if there's an overhang, you don't do Kiddush Levana under overhang. It's supposed to be not under a roof. So then the problem is what happens though if somebody is not well and they can't get out. They're sick in a hospital, whatever it is. So then the din is they could do it even not outside. They could do it inside also. But ideally, a person that's healthy should not do the Kiddush Levana only not under a roof. They should only do it outside. Now, technically, I know we don't do it here, but technically, let's say you make Havdalah in the shul. So what comes first? Havdalah or Kiddush Levana? What do you do first? So in halacha it says the minig is you do Havdalah first. And the very simple reason for that is Havdalah is more common than Kiddush Levana. Kiddush Levana is once a month, and Havdalah is 4 times a month. But Lebel, for whatever reason, is we don't do like that here, and there's a reason I have for it, but whatever, it's a practical reason, not a halachic reason. Okay. Then we say Kaddish afterwards. Okay, what else? Okay, now this happens like this. How well do you have to see the moon to be able to do Kiddush Levana? Because sometimes it's cloudy and then the clouds part a little bit and you see a little bit. So in halacha it says, as long as you're able to see the shape of the moon, even though it might be a little cloudy over it, it's fine. What happens if you started making the bracha? You started making the bracha with Kiddush Levana, that means the Baruch Atah Hashem, and then in the middle of the bracha, the Levana disappeared. So then the din is you continue the bracha, and you continue it. But you shouldn't start making the bracha. You don't do it under a roof, not under a tumah. Also, one of the reasons why you do it, because you want to go out to meet the king. You want to go out to greet the king. So if Shechina is coming to you, go out. This doesn't apply in Beverly Hills, but if the alley, let's say your outside is filthy with dog manure and that stuff, then you can't do Kiddush Levana in that, even that. See, and I wouldn't be able to, you'd have to move somewhere else to do Kiddush Levana. Manure. In those days, Beverly Hills, there's a law, you have to clean up after your dog.
It's a law everywhere like that, just they don't follow it.
I don't know, officially, legally, it's a law all over, I don't know.
Of course.
Maybe. If you don't have anybody to say Shalom Aleichem to, let's say you have one person. So you can say 3 times to that one person, Shalom Aleichem, Lechem Shalom, Shalom Aleichem, Lechem Shalom. What happens if you have nobody? Say it to yourself. It's the most compatible person that you can say Shalom Aleichem to. Because generally speaking, when you say Shalom Aleichem, peace upon you, the best one to say it to is on yourself. No, that's the halacha. You know, if there's nobody else, you say it to yourself Shalom Aleichem 3 times. But we're going to go soon, and not today. But after tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem, we're going to discuss the whole, how to do a proper Kiddush Levana. from A to Z, what's the process, what do you do when you touch your teeth? There's a part of it, if you have toothaches, there's a part of it that you touch your teeth. It's a segula. In fact, if you ever watch a video of the Rebbe doing Kiddush Levana, or you saw him live, certain part he would touch his teeth with, well, he didn't have teeth at the end, but he would touch his teeth with, huh? Who?
If you do that, you don't have to go to the dentist.
Maybe if you do it with the right kavana, maybe if you do it and don't eat so much candy, maybe if, different things that can happen. Ideally, a person should do Kiddush Levana, ideally you should do it by yourself. You should do it with a tzibur, because Revam Hadar Smelach, it's just more beautiful to do the mitzvah. But if a guy's by himself, then he could do it. You have to stand when you do Kiddush Levana, because again, the Shechina is present and you want to have respect for the Shechina. You do it from a siddur, like it's brought down in halacha. If you're married, if you wear a gartel, you wear a gartel. What happens if somebody doesn't read Hebrew? Can they do Kiddush Levana in another language? And the din is you could do Kiddush Levana in another language. If you don't know Hebrew, you can't do it in Hebrew, then you could do it in any language. Even Farsi.
Even Hungarian.
Hungarian also.